In this video, you'll see how a real house is created from rock from start to finish, the construction steps, the challenges, and the incredible end result. If you're ready, let's get started. At the beginning of the video, we encounter a giant rock. It's covered in dimensions, markings, and plan lines. To most people, it's just an ordinary rock, but for this man, it's the first step into a completely new living space. To fit a small house into it, he The man grabs a heavy rock drill and begins drilling the first holes into the base of the massive rock. This moment isn't just a plan, it's the beginning of the actual carving. Years. As the pieces fall one by one, the doorway slowly reveals itself. This rock, now part of nature, begins to be shaped by human labor. The first entrance to a real home opens before our eyes. Once the doorway is fully open, the work area deepens. This time, a massive rock drill is used to begin carving out the interior. As the drill spins at high speed, the mud released along with the water reveals the hardness of the stone. This process both cools the wall and ensures a smooth cut. As each centimeter is advanced, the rock structure becomes more clearly visible. The project has now entered the transition phase from the surface to the interior. Once the doorway is fully exposed, the interior finishing work begins. Because the wall surfaces are still rough, the edges are smoothed with a stone cutter. This process is crucial not only for aesthetics but also for the structural integrity. The smoother the surface, the more seamless the interior cladding will be in place. The rough cutting phase is now behind us, and the project gradually transitions to detailed carving. The work has now moved completely into the rock itself. A powerful drill system mounted on the ceiling begins drilling horizontally into the wall. This method is used to expand the interior space and create a uniform ceiling height. As the drill progresses, mud emerges from the stone, revealing the depth of the excavation. This scene demonstrates that the carving process has now reached a professional level. It's no longer just excavation, but engineering. From the outside, the structure, which appears as an ordinary rock, has now become completely different. A wide entrance at the front leads to the rooms created within. A man uses a transport cart to remove the stones and debris, gradually expanding the interior space. Each removed piece means more space inside. This work requires both physical strength and meticulous attention, as one wrong move could undo days of work. The image clearly demonstrates that the project is now progressing in earnest. And here's the final scene. What started as just a giant lifeless rock has now transformed into a habitable, entirely handcrafted structure. Every hole, every broken stone, every piece was part of this process. After days of carving, cutting, and shaping, the result is an extraordinary shelter that blends seamlessly with nature. This isn't just a construction, it's a testament to perseverance, patience, and determination. What you're watching is the story of a seemingly impossible idea becoming reality. See you in the next video. We've reached the end of this incredible transformation. For 2 years, a single man carved a real home meter by meter into a massive rock. Today we'll take a closer look at how this man transformed the inside of this giant block, which looks like an ordinary rock from the outside, into a habitable home, room by room, tunnel by tunnel, step by step. If you're ready, let's begin our journey into the heart of the rock. We see nothing but a ladder, a man with a hammer, and a huge hard rock. With each blow, the rock peels away layer by layer. Yellowish pieces of stone fall down, and the surface is slowly eroded as if someone were opening the frame of a giant door. There's no concrete, no machinery, just manual labor and stubbornness. This scene is the first step in a crazy project that will last for 2 whole years. In this frame, the man has descended a ladder and is continuing to work from a point closer to the ground. He still has a long-handled hammer in his hand and is striking the rock from below upwards. On the left, the inside of the rock is carved out in evenly spaced slices like ladder steps, and with each blow, the surface transforms into a deeper and smoother channel. On the right, there is a large block of stone that has not yet completely broken off. Metal wedges hammered into it indicate that this block will soon be completely broken and removed. In this frame, the man is now right inside the rock. He's wearing a white t-shirt and an orange hard hat, and he's meticulously smoothing the wall from the inside with a small hammer or chisel. The ceiling is arched, and the horizontal marks from the carving are still visible. The floor has been roughly excavated, but the main focus is on giving the ceiling and walls their final shape. So at this stage, after the rough excavation is complete, he's starting to smooth and round the inner surfaces of the main chamber. This man chooses the spot where he will carve his own home amidst the steep cliffs. He climbs to the natural cave entrance on the side of the cliff and first examines his surroundings, checking the rock structure, examining cracks and the slope of the ground. By moving aside loose stones and crumbling rock fragments in front of the entrance with his hands, he both creates a platform for himself to work on and makes the entrance safe. The main goal in this first stage is to turn these natural cavities into a solid starting point that he can later transform into rooms, corridors, and storage areas. This time, he's working inside the cave, on his knees. After clearing the initial entrance, he begins to enlarge a natural cavity where the ceiling meets the side wall, carving out a small window and ventilation opening from the rock from the inside. As he works, sunlight filters in through the opening, reducing the darkness and humidity inside. At the same time, he moves loose stones on the floor aside, making the first preparations for a flat living space he will use later. In this image, the man is shaping the entrance to the cave. The large rock mass he broke off from inside now stands as a mound at the mouth, and he is carefully removing the stones that have broken off from this block on his knees. By pushing the loose pieces downwards, he both lightens the load at the entrance and creates a level surface in front of the door. The goal at this stage is to transform the natural cave entrance from a random hole into a clearer and cleaner entrance, where he can later build a wall and install a door. What was once just a dark, rickety cave has now transformed into a rock hut, built with his own hands, complete with windows and a door, protecting him from the wind and cold. After 2 years of carrying and carving stone, the man finally manages to create his own hidden refuge in the mountain. As the camera slowly pulls back, both the small mountain hut, the result of his labor, and the man who built it disappear among the rocks, and the video ends here. In this video, the man is locating the site of his new shelter on a soft earthen slope by the river. Using a pickaxe-like tool, he begins to break up the steep earthen wall, knocking the loose soil down. He first widens the area where he will work outside, leveling the ground beneath his feet and roughly marking where the entrance will be. The bags standing nearby are the first indication that he will be working here for a long time, carving a new underground house from scratch on this slope. In this scene, having pinpointed the exact location of the entrance, he kneels close to the earthen wall. Using a pickaxe or hammer, he carves a semicircular doorway into the upper section. With each blow, dry earth and small stones fall down, deepening the wall's surface inwards like a bowl. While the initial impact marks remain as vertical lines on the sides, the central section gradually begins to take on the form of a real door. At this stage, the main goal is not to create a flat surface on the slope, but to form the main entrance that will later develop into a system of tunnels and chambers. In this frame, the man has now begun carving into the interior of the tunnel, just behind the arched entrance he has created. On his knees, he swings his pickaxe against the wall, both increasing the depth of the tunnel and shaping the ceiling into a more regular arch form. Strips of pickaxe marks are visible on the side walls, and freshly broken pieces of soft soil have accumulated on the floor. At this stage, the goal is not just to create a hole, but to form a smooth main corridor with sufficient height and width to allow for comfortable movement inside. In this scene, the rough excavation is completely finished, and the man is now moving on to fine-tuning the interior. He has carved out an arched form in the wall, creating two niches. The one on the left is deeper and wide enough to be used as a bed or seating area, while the one on the right is shallower, intended for shelving or storage. He runs his hand along the wall, checking the surface, removing protrusions with his pickaxe, and making final adjustments with his fingers. At this stage, the goal is to transform the earthen walls into a smooth, rounded, and usable space, a true underground chamber. In this new video, the man begins constructing a stone structure from scratch in front of a large rock formation. He meticulously drags and arranges large and small stones collected from the surrounding area, building low walls in front of the rock face. A doorway is left in the center, and rows of stones are lined up on either side, gradually rising higher. There is no mortar yet. The stones are only held together by their weight and the way they interlock. Simultaneously, he defines the boundaries of a small courtyard by spreading stones on the ground in front. This scene represents the initial construction phase, laying the foundation walls for a hidden stone hut in front of the rock. After the stone walls rise, in this scene, the man is constructing a small hearth or stove body inside the hut. He has dug a little deeper into the ground, shaping a rounded dome-like mass, then plastering it with muddy earth collected from the surroundings, completely covering the surface. At the bottom, near the ground, he has left a small arched opening for firewood. By pressing and smoothing the mud with each handful, he both closes the gaps between the wall and the hearth and creates a thick monolithic mass that will provide heating for the interior. In the final scene, a low roof covered with earth sits atop stone walls, with a metal chimney rising from the rear. The man is trying to secure a wooden door frame from the inside of the narrow entrance he has created. In front, a small courtyard surrounded by stones is visible, with piles of dry branches and a prepared fire pit to the side. Now, with an earthen stove inside and stone walls and a sturdy roof outside, this place has been transformed into a fully equipped mountain shelter, protecting against wind and cold. In this video, you'll watch a man transform a dark and harsh cave into a habitable home. Initially, it's just a cramped space of stones and dust, but with each rock broken, each section opened, and each detail added, the cave gradually transforms into something completely different. The most intriguing part is this: the man isn't building a ready-made house. He's constructing the house itself directly into the mountain. The final result will look almost nothing like the original Raw cave. The man begins by clearing the rough floor inside the cave. It's filled with stones, dust, and loose soil. With his simple tools, he separates the rubble, moves large stones aside, and tries to smooth the floor. The ceiling and walls are entirely natural rock. The interior is narrow, low, and quite difficult to work in, but the man keeps digging, collecting, and gradually creating a space for himself to work in inside the cave. At this stage, the man begins to build a low wall at the entrance of the cave by stacking stones on top of each other. Because each stone is a different size, the work seems far more laborious than he anticipated. He places one, compresses another, and fills the gaps with small pieces. Two wooden posts stand in the center, defining the shape of the entrance. With broken rocks, dust, and scattered materials scattered around, the man slowly closes off the entrance to the cave entirely by hand. At this stage, the cave entrance becomes much more distinct. The man closes off the front by placing horizontal logs between the stone walls, leaving small window openings at the top. In the center, he works on a large panel woven from thin branches. He prepares the section that will serve as a door by compressing and straightening the branches one by one. Because the stone, log, and branch weave is entirely hand-shaped, the image looks both very primitive and incredibly realistic. In this new project, the man is carefully removing and piling up large stones one by one to widen a narrow gap beneath the hard rock. The area is littered with broken pieces of rock. With each blow, the entrance opens a little wider, slowly revealing the hidden space beneath the rocks. With only a simple pickaxe and his bare hands, he is shaping this hard ground, opening the door to a brand new living space for himself. Now the man is building a thick stone wall in front of the rock crevice by stacking the rocks he extracted on top of each other. He places the irregularly shaped blocks and compresses them with small pieces so the wall becomes stronger with each layer. With each stroke, a stone settles into the surface, the gaps fill, and a real structure begins to rise at the entrance of the crevice. This time, the man goes under a completely solid rock and lands the first blows directly on the surface. The surroundings are dry, the ground is dusty, and the area he is working in is quite narrow. With the simple tools at hand, he slowly breaks the rock, removing small pieces and beginning to make room for himself inside. It is clear from the start that this will not be easy, but with each blow, the man gets a little closer to the inside of the rock. At this stage, the man begins to close the narrow gap under the rock with stones. He stacks the large pieces he has collected on top of each other, filling the gaps with smaller stones to raise the wall. Everything is dusty, the ground is sloped, and the work is quite difficult, but the man keeps carrying and placing stones. Slowly, the open cavity disappears, and a solid stone-built facade emerges in its place. The structure is now beginning to fully reveal itself. Adam closes off the entrance by placing a temporary door in front of the stone wall he built. The wall is almost completely finished, its form has settled, and it's integrated with the rock, while the surrounding soil and natural texture are still preserved. What has emerged is no longer a simple hollow, but feels like a real living space. This area beneath the rock has been shaped entirely by hand from beginning to end, and has finally transformed into a structure with a door and defined boundaries. The transformation you are watching, from its initial raw state to this point, is the result of the patience and labor of a single person. If you enjoy watching these kinds of transformations, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hey everyone, today we're diving into a truly mind-boggling structure because one man meticulously carved out a massive rock, something no one would ever look at twice, transforming it into an incredibly secret home. In this video, you'll watch this astonishing transformation unfold from beginning to end, holding your breath. In the first stage, the man is literally battling nature with his bare hands because the massive blocks that completely obstruct the path of the rock entrance where the secret house is to be built are standing entirely in his way. At this point, the goal is simply to create an opening just big enough to sneak in, and there isn't a single machine to do it. The man squeezes himself into this narrow space, barely accessible even by crawling, and breaks the rocks one by one, throwing them out. The heavy sound of the rocks echoing from inside with each blow shows just how tough the structure he's dealing with is. The large stones at the bottom of the entrance are immobile and block the exit, so they are cleared step by step using a method of pushing from the inside and pulling from the outside. This small opening appears to be the first real door to the heart of the secret house, creating a narrow passage that makes you wonder, even while watching, how does this man fit in there? At this stage, the entrance becomes more distinct, and the man begins preparing to create a natural arch to reinforce the structure. Using his saw, he cuts thin but flexible branches and places them at the rock face, thus forming the arch. This bone skeleton acts as a guide, preventing the entrance from collapsing and shaping the surface that will be clad later. The combination of the rock's rough, hard texture and these natural materials creates both stability and a more controlled working area. At this stage, the man begins to make the inside of the rock habitable, and for the first time, a sense of warmth, light, and order emerges in the image. Now we continue with another video, a new project. This time we see the man at the beginning of a completely different structure. His silhouette, emerging with light streaming from a dark void, is covered in dust and stone chips, as if he had just emerged from a completely different workspace. The axe in his hand signals that he is about to embark on another intense carving and shaping project. Adam is now beginning to shape the entrance of the cave he has carved out. Kneeling before the widened opening, he places a long wooden branch horizontally and secures it with vertical supports, creating a natural frame above the entrance. This serves as a temporary scaffold, both to prevent inward collapse and to properly align the area he will later clad. process takes a completely different turn in the video because the man is now moving on to building a structure inside the rock house that will provide heat and a cooking area. The footage shows him trying to install a chimney system on top of a small oven-like compartment he carved into the rock. He holds a metal chimney pipe at an upward angle and directs it towards the rock ceiling, creating a natural ventilation system to safely expel the smoke from the fire he'll be lighting inside. In this new project, the man starts work in a completely different rock formation, and from the very beginning, it's clear where he's arrived because a natural cavity nestled between giant rocks offers him the perfect starting point for creating a new living space. He crouches at the entrance, unpacks his bag, prepares his materials, and quickly surveys his surroundings. While it looks like an ordinary rock from the outside, the traces of the structure he's about to create are already palpable inside. In this scene, the man is taking one of the first steps in his rock house project, creating a natural platform to facilitate access to the entrance. Because climbing the narrow, steep opening in the rock is difficult, he installs a sturdy step made of a log. He carefully places the log into the grooves in the rock and tests its weight, thus creating both a secure entry point and a practical passageway where he can later carry work materials. In this scene, the work is now picking up speed, and the man is taking one of the first major steps in transforming the natural cavities in the rock into a real home. Thanks to the log platform he previously placed, he easily reaches the entrance and then begins carving the interior to widen the rock wall. The narrow opening is already beginning to take the form of a rectangular doorway as it is continuously sculpted with hand tools. By reinforcing the edges with a mixture of mud and stone, he creates a more even surface and makes the entrance more solid. In this new project, the man is rolling up his sleeves to transform a vast cave hidden inside a giant rock into an entirely new living space. His seriousness is immediately apparent the moment he puts down his backpack, because while the cave may appear natural and raw at first glance, it has the potential to become an incredible structure with the right touches. In this scene, the man has completely walled off the entrance to the cave with stone, creating a real facade. The doorway, framed by logs, now has a clear form. Although the stones appear irregular, each one is carefully placed and the gaps are tightly filled. As the man exits through the door, he carries a large rock out, indicating that there are still fragments to be cleaned and areas to be organized inside. Small window openings have also been created, allowing for both light and air circulation. At this stage, the cave, emerging from a natural cavity, is slowly beginning to transform into a mountain hut built entirely of stone. In this project, the man transforms a completely natural cave on the side of a mountain into an incredible habitat. At the beginning of the video, the cave is in its raw state, its floor covered with stones and soil, its walls irregular, a solid rock cavity that doesn't seem suitable for any habitation. When you step inside, there's only the smell of the wilderness and the howling of the wind. In this final scene, the cave is unrecognizable. With its stone-built walls, log-reinforced entrance, and hidden position against the mountainside, it has transformed into a secret mountain hut. The fact that a single person could have discovered this structure amazes everyone watching. In this new project, a man enters a massive rock shelter and takes the first step in transforming this vast, completely natural, and untouched cave from top to bottom. The floor is covered in stone and earth, the walls are hard and uneven, and the interior is dark and neglected. When the man puts down his bag and begins to clean the floor, it signals that this wild void will soon be transformed into an incredible structure. This project marks the beginning of a brand new and impressive hidden living space, built from scratch in the heart of nature. In its final form, the giant cave has been transformed into a completely stone-built mountain hut. What was initially a dark, empty, and cluttered hollow now stands as a true shelter. From the outside, this structure, seamlessly integrated with the natural rock, offers a powerful finale that impresses the viewer even just because it appears to have been created by a single person. And so, all these projects beginning in the heart of the mountains transformed into a magnificent journey where we witnessed ordinary caves and rock crevices being transformed into incredible structures. If watching these handcrafted transformations has inspired you, even crazier and more boundary-pushing structures await you in the next project. Thanks for watching, see you in the next incredible transformation.